Gentlemen, I don't know about you, but there's just something about a clean workspace. Welcome to Good Enough Garage. On today's episode, we won't talk about the input shaft. Oh, koogly moogly. Okay, guys, so having completed the first half of phase two, where we took care of the issues with the transmission, locking the input shaft, making sure now we're going to use both motors. Now we turn to the second half of phase two, which is dealing with upgrading to the bigger battery pack, or more specifically, two BMW packs. So we have a lot to talk about. So I have a list of things I want to cover on this clipboard. And forgive me if I don't go in order, but let's get started. So the first thing we want to talk about is battery formations or arrangements. So what do I mean by battery formations or arrangements? Well, it's probably easiest to show you what I'm talking about. So give me a second to return one of these packs, and we have a red pack here and a green pack. That's how we'll refer to them. So I'll take the red pack and I will configure it the way it was found in the BMW 530e, which is the same as the 330e second gen, I believe. So here we go. So I have a little cheat sheet so I know how they go. And give me a second here. All right. So the way we find these modules arranged inside of the OEM pack is that there's two on the bottom, and then the third one sits on top on this side, two more on the bottom, and the third one sits on top. And what we end up doing was we need to flatten out this design. And this presents not necessarily some problems as it presents what we can call just some challenges. Okay, how do we do that using the OEM cables? So that is going to be the focus of this video, basically playing battery Tetris here, okay? On the list here, I say that I think of these modules like Legos, and actually I think of them more like Duplo blocks, okay? Duplo, if you haven't heard, it's like Legos for dummies. But these are really great modules. It's like stacking cinder blocks or stacking bricks. With that comes some challenges because there's three of one kind and three of the other. And so the last item on the list is what I call module asymmetry. And so they're like mirror images of each other. Because we have two packs, we may be able to cheat a little and maybe take three from one pack and match them up to the same three of this pack and vice versa. And we can arrange them in different ways. But we'll get to all that. The point is, this is how they were in the BMW, but that's how they're going to be in my truck, okay? So we're going to be talking about this. So now what I want to do is I want to label the BMS modules, the slave modules on these, and remove them, okay? Just going to make it easier to work with these modules as we kind of plan how we're going to arrange them. Okay, so I'm just going to use some stickers. Again, we have a red pack and a green one. I don't have green stickers, unfortunately, so I'll use the yellow with the green marker. But first, I'm just going to put red dots on the BMS modules here. I am not sure if these modules are internally labeled. Maybe they are. And so if we remove them, we may want to return them to the same modules that they came from. If someone knows, go ahead and put that in the comments. So, and I just like to keep things organized to begin with, whether it matters or doesn't. If you remember from prior videos, the BMS modules, the slave modules, can sit on top or on the side, okay? This is what makes these very neat. You may want to mount them in the side if you are limited amount of space you have in your custom battery boxes that you're building. Or like in my case, I want them on the top because I want them to be closer together, okay? But you probably have to allow for like at least an extra inch, if not inch and a half, to accommodate these. All right, so here I am just continuing on to put these dots on here. And as we go through this video and the video series on this battery pack, a lot of this stuff will start making sense. The method to my madness will come through, maybe. You can see that I also numbered these modules, okay? So on top here and also on what I would call the chassis or the box of it, because these tops come off. These are just plastic and they are removable. I mentioned that in a prior video where I sort of took one apart. So it's a good idea to label them on here as well. Also, when you stack them later in the vehicle, you can see this number, whereas this could be covered by something. Okay, I think I have one more here. Okay, so these modules will belong to the red pack, and now we can put on here like this is number 3, and then this one down here is number 2. So let's see, I'm doing it this way. Okay, and you have to be careful because these are a bit flimsy, but I might bring you in here, well, to remove these as I say that. Okay, they go this way. Okay, just like that. And now you see that that came off and it goes on top, but easily we can just twist it around and put them here, okay? Like so. This is, the orange is, so the orange here is high voltage, low amps in this case, low current, which brings me to another item on the list, which is safety. Now we're playing with battery pack. So these are all spread apart. So each one of these is about 65 volts, okay? It's just borderline being dangerous and giving you a bad hair day, right? As I call it. But still, let's do some safety stuff here. So I'm going to bring out a rubber mat and some rubber gloves. I may not put the rubber gloves on immediately because some of this stuff is really finicky to unplug, and I've done this before, so I kind of know what I'm doing as far as unplugging these modules. But you would want to wear some safety gloves if, you know, for sure working with these modules. Also, you know, don't have any jewelry on your hands, and work with one hand whenever possible, right? Just use some common sense, guys. Okay, so these are just some sort of rubberized gloves. I'm going for better than nothing when working with these modules. I do have some expensive high voltage gloves. The rubber gloves that you put on and then you put on these leather gloves over them, and they are completely useless. Like, I cannot unplug any connectors, okay? So yes, I'm ranting. I've tried the safety equipment, and you just have to use your common sense. Like, what is safety equipment if you can't work with it, can't do anything with it? So here I have a big ass heavy duty rubber mat. So I just plopped it down on the floor, and I'm going to stand on this while working with these modules. And as I move things around, I'll probably slide the mat around. Okay, so we're going to continue on with unplugging these slave BMS modules and go ahead and finish labeling them. All right, guys, here we have it. All 12 battery modules with their slave modules unplugged, disconnected, and labeled. Just laying on top of there. And again, this is our green pack just using yellow stickers with green writing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, so now we can put away the slave modules in your convenient dollar store Tupperware here. All right, there we have it. All right, let me give you another top tip. As I mentioned before, these battery modules are asymmetrical, so that this high voltage, low amp connector for the slave BMS modules is not always by the positive terminal. For half of them, it's by the negative terminal, like these three here. And then for half of them, it's on the positive. Same for this pack. So we can't just assume, oh, because it's next to this orange thing, that's our hint that it's either positive or negative. So I turn back to my stickers, and what I like to do is I just like to put a red sticker on all the positive terminals here where the orange high voltage, high current connectors will plug in, okay? And as you will see, this will alternate between these modules. This is our green pack, and 3 of the modules have a positive away from these, and then these 3 have the positive terminal by the orange connectors. If you're just watching for recreational use, you really don't give a crap. You really don't care. But if you plan on using these packs, a day will come where you'll go, oh, that's what Greg was talking about. And we will talk some more about this, and this is going to be really important to remember when we talk about something I call connector caveat, okay? The orange wires that we use here, these orange cables that we use, they are keyed. The problem is, although they are keyed, they will still partially go inside either terminal housing, and they will make contact, okay? And if you're an idiot like me who lost concentration for a millisecond one time when I was rearranging these packs and trying to connect them all in a flat manner, I just touched to the wrong terminal thinking, oh, nothing's going to happen because this is keyed. Well, you can see, can you see in there? See how that piece of metal sticks out just enough on these to make contact? Sorry, I'm turning away to look at my monitor there. So, yeah, you have to be careful that even though they are keyed, they will still make contact. And that's why we label these to make sure when we connect them in series, it's positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, that type of thing. Okay. Let me finish this pack up. So it's positive on that side. All right, so they are labeled. I'm going to bring you in closer and allow you to stare at the differences of one being one way, one the other way, okay? So this is module 3 and module 4, and the positive is on the bottom, the negative is on the top. On this way, it's the opposite. So if you want to have them be the same, see how they're like this now? And see what happened to this orange connector. Now it's on the bottom, right? So obviously same on this side, maybe closer to the camera. This is an example of 2, do we call them asymmetrical? Something, I guess, packs. So this matters when we go to connect them, and we'll do that next. Okay, guys, let's talk about the cables now and the types of connections we can make. As you can see, we have 3 different types of high voltage, high current orange cables here. And I want to talk to you about how these modules were connected inside the battery pack, and also how we can use the OEM cables to connect them in our flat configuration, okay? Some of these you will notice that they are actually labeled here. So can you see the 2 positive on that? And then this will say 3 negative on it. Some of these are not labeled, but we get the idea, okay? So first types of connections are what I call natural connections, meaning OEM connections. We're going to use the cables the way they were meant to be used. And so we are connecting these modules in series, okay? Series means we're going to be adding up the voltage while the amps stay the same. So series is positive to negative, positive to negative. And in earlier videos, I said if you connect them the other way, which is in parallel, then it's P to P to P to P. So parallel starts with the letter P, and there we connect positive to positive, positive to positive, and then the negative falls basically to negative to negative, negative to negative. Anyway, so this is in series, and the natural connection here is the way it was connected in the pack, which is just basically like this, okay? I'm not going to snap them in all the way because that's a pain in the ass. This is module 1, module 2, just the way they were sitting in the pack, and then they had module 3 on top of 1. But for now, this is how it was connected inside the battery pack, okay? And it doesn't matter if we connect it on this side or on this side, right? It just inverse, but again, it's positive to negative, and that's using these connectors. I think, unfortunately, in my design, I can only use one of these, and the pack came with 2 of them, okay? So in the pack, we have 2 of these because I believe module 1 and 2 were connected with this type of connector, and also 5 and 6. So the 2 on the bottom were connected with these. Maybe in our new configuration that we come up with, we can use 2 of these. I don't know. In my old way that I did it, I could only find use for 1 of these. Okay, so this is basically connecting them like so when they are flat and side by side this way, okay? So I'm going to put it on this side because I think inside of the BMW pack, that's how they were connected on the inside, assuming that goes that way. Okay, let me put number 3 on top here. And I'm trying to remember how this went. I think 3 went like this, okay? And now we get to this other type of connector where, see how these go the opposite ways? How can I get this in the camera? Okay. And then these are labeled. So here it says on this one 2 positive, and it will say 3 negative. So our 2 positive goes here, and then see it flips around like this, and then it goes into 3 like so. So now these are in series. So I know these are about 65 volts each, 66. We're just going to pretend that they're 60 volts. So it's 60 plus 60 is 120, plus 60 here on module 3 puts us at 180 volts for this pack. Let me write down number 3 on here so you can see it. Okay, yes, this is boring and excruciating. So this is really handy if that was on top, okay? But we're not going to stack them like this in our configuration. So then with this one, we have to get creative. Okay, so let me just keep going and show you one additional connection that was made inside of the pack using what I'm calling the natural cabling or the OEM cabling, okay? So let's move these guys over here. And then here is another cable. This is 3 and 4. So 3 positive, 4 negative. Okay. Let me stack up more of the pack right here. 5, 6, 4. Okay. So now we learn how to connect them side by side like this. And then one stacked on top of the other. Well, this is how 3 and 4 were connected. So it was, I'm going to slide them out a little bit because they were a bit further apart to make this reach better. So inside the pack, believe it or not, that's how those are connected. Okay? So you're sort of getting an idea. And then if we continue on, so then 4 to 5 will be connected on the outside here using that type of connector. Yeah, so I actually happen to have one here. So we're going to go 4 to 5. And just for my own safety, I'm just going to disconnect this. So pretend that it's connected, okay? I'm also going to disconnect this one here. But pretend that it's just connected. Let's see if can I sort of lay it on there so you guys can kind of see it. Okay. This is just to lower the voltage so I don't zap myself on camera for you showing this. And then we repeat the process using, let's call this a horseshoe. So the horseshoe will go in here because this is now connecting. 4 to 5 is connected here, then 5 to 6 is connected there. And that's what connects the modules, okay? That's how the modules are connected using these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cables. And then from here, we have long leads off of negative of 1 and positive of 6 that run to the safety box. We're not concerned about those yet. I just wanted to show you guys this. This is what we're starting with, and then we have to flatten out the design, and that's where the challenge comes in, okay? So now I'm going to break this apart and show you some ideas for connecting them sort of like in a custom way. All right, guys, so if we have 2 battery modules sort of side by side this way, we know we can use what we're calling the natural connection with a natural OEM cable, and we just go like this and, you know, Bob's your uncle, they're connected, right? But what happens if they're side by side the other way? So here we have 4 and 5, okay? And how will we connect these? So this is actually sort of backwards, like we can't get it like this, all right? So just write 5 on here so we can see. The module numbers don't really matter. I'm just kind of using that as a reference, but we would take the cable that connects the two modules, the bottom one to the top one. So this is basically how 4 and 5 were connected when they were stacked. And what we do here is we twist this thing around. So you go like this. So you can kind of call it a loop or a bow tie type of thing. And that's how we connect them side by side the long way. So sort of the parallel way is like this, and then if they're the long way, then we do this loop, okay? And this is going to be important when I'm laying them out. Okay. Now let me show you if they are side by side like this, but not facing each other, but facing away from each other. So here's another example, and in this example, it seems similar, but these are facing each other, but here they're facing out, okay? So how do you connect these? Obviously, we can't use this thing because the connectors aren't here, they're on the outside. This will not reach to the outside. So this one doesn't help us. This guy here is not only too short, okay, but also it kind of does this S, and these face opposite ways, so that won't work. So we can use this one. This is what connected 3 and 4 when they sat across from each other, okay? So we can use this one, and I'm going to show you here. It's pretty tight, but it is doable, all right? So there we have it. So this is an example of an inside connection. This is an example of an outside connection. And top tip, because I purchased the 330 pack, the old one, the first gen, that only has 5 modules. It actually has a nicer cable like this. Here it is. It looks very similar. How can I show this? There it is. It looks very similar, but this is for modules 1 and 2. They're labeled, whereas on this one is connector for 3 and 4. And I believe they're different part numbers, and this one may be a little bit longer. So I may order this one, and I probably put down the part number in the description and on my blog or my build thread. Okay, so let me disconnect this. Let's just see here if it's indeed, yeah, it's longer. You can tell that one is longer than the other. So that's why I like it. This just makes such a nicer connection here. And I might need 2 of these. So it can be done using the one from the 530E pack, but the one from the old 330E here is nicer. So that's just something I wanted to share. And if you're wondering what cable this is the one that sat here like this and connected the 2 modules like when they were spread apart like that. Okay, so that probably bored you to death when it comes to the cables and the connections. And now we're going to set them out here flat and see how they all connect in a flat manner. So here we have the modules laid out flat. And these are the numbers of the actual modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, obviously. And the first thing you'll notice is that some of them have the high voltage for the BMS slave modules on the outside, and 2 of them have it on the inside. So the first thing that we have to do, unfortunately, is we're going to lose our sequential order because we have to swap 2 and 5 so that the connections are on the outside, because that's just how I want them, okay? When I put this in my truck, I want my BMS modules to be on the outside. I'm going to use this arrow here to show you where's the front of the truck. So I'm standing on the side of the truck. This is the front of the vehicle, okay, right here. All right. So here's how they are with everything on the outside, okay? Now we need to connect them, and we're going to connect them in this sort of slalom. And we need to get from number 1 to number 6 as if it was a straight line, but we're connecting these in series, so it's as if we had a straight line of batteries, like ducks in a row. But because of space constraints, we have them 3 and 3 side by side. Okay, so the first connection that we need to make is 1 and 4 the long ways, and for that we use the loop or the bow tie, right? So let's see here. I'm just going to ignore the numbering on these. It doesn't really matter. So let's see, well, let's do it. Okay, so we have 1 positive to 4 negative, 60 plus 60, now we have 120 volts. Now we need to connect 4 to 2. Here we're making an outside connection, so we could use our 3 to 4 cable here from the 530 series, or we could use our 1 positive, 2 negative cable from the 330E, okay? So we go here, and then here. Okay, and we have 60, 120, 180, and now we need to connect these 2 modules. So it's the same thing as this guy here. All right. And then we're continuing on. So we got 60, 120, 180, 240. We need to connect these 2 together. And for that, we use our little friendly doodad here. This is what I'm calling the natural connection, right? The OEM connection there. So that's what I was talking about. We only get to use that in 1 spot. And then we need to make a connection between this module and 6 to have, right now we're up to 300 volts to make it 360. So for that, we need to use another one of these type. And I think in our pack, per pack, we only get 2 of these, okay? So we can either cheat here and use one from an extra pack, or trying to remember how I did it, which cable I used. I won't lie to you, I think I may have bought an extra cable or I used one from another pack. But anyway, and now we have a loaded pack. So this, our negative lead to the safety box will come off of here. Notice this is negative, there's no red dot. Our positive comes off of 6. This is same as in the BMW original OEM pack. The 1 lead to the safety box comes from the module number 1, and the positive comes from module number 6 over here. Okay, so there it is. This could be one way for me to do it. Okay, all right. This may be enough torture with the whole cabling. I just wanted to walk you through it. I'm gonna sort of play around with it to see if I can come up with something more better by mixing the two packs maybe. I don't know yet. For now, this is it. Okay guys, so far we've played module Tetris. Now let's play some module Jenga. Because when it comes to installing these two packs, I don't have the space to install them lengthwise, two packs side by side. I need to install one pack on top of the other pancake style. And to make things even more interesting and give you guys something to argue about, one of these packs will be flipped upside down. Okay, now it can be done. All right. I don't know how this guy did it, but Artur copied me, except he did it 4 years ago. He's been running his Jaguar with a pack upside down for, I would say, maybe 4 years now. So we know it can be done.
I'm basically gonna sandwich this between two layers of the modules. The modules are gonna be attached by those spikes, those M7 threaded rods. And here's how it's gonna work. Okay. So as you can see, one layer hanging from the bottom and one layer on the top. So this will give me pretty compact, very flat box.
So there's a couple ways to flip these. We can flip them this way, or we can flip them this way. We can flip individual modules like that, or even this way. I'm going to flip it like this so that both module 6s are towards the back of the truck. Again, this is the front of my truck. So I'll lay this down here. I'm standing on the side of it. So let me show you how this is going to work as I flip these guys, and what's probably the best way to do this. It might look like a little bit of madness here, but basically module 6 will go here, like so. Module 2, module 4. Okay, you guys are getting the idea. Then do 1. Okay, so one pack. And the other pack will just go on top of it. So yes, word of the day is asymmetry. I think each one of these modules weighs approximately 27 pounds. We'll call it 30 pounds with all the orange cabling and BMS modules and all that. So 180 pounds per pack. 2 packs is 360 pounds. I think that's probably roughly the weight of a small block Chevy iron block or something like that, for those of you concerned about weight. And each one of these bricks, are Lego or Duplo bricks, is 2 kilowatt hours. So when it comes to measurements, you can measure power or you can measure energy. And kW, kilowatts, measures power, and kWh, kilowatt hours, measures energy. So each one of these is 2 kilowatt hours. And if we use our magic formula, our magic number of 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour of range or distance, then each one of these modules will take me 7 miles, okay? That's approximate, sometimes less than that, sometimes more than that, but we'll say 7. And then we have 12 of these modules here, so let me quickly do the math here. So, as I was saying, we have, we can go 7 miles. Let me, I guess, reset this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 12 modules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times the circumference of the Earth gives us 84 miles of range. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 81, 2, 3, 4. For those of you not familiar with how to use the abacus, neither am I, but there you have it. The proof is right in front of you. Our total range will be 84 miles, and I had a 2013 Nissan Leaf. I leased it for 3 years. It was a fantastic car. I should have bought it back, but I returned it after the lease was over, hoping that I could get a Tesla Model 3 or whatever they were coming out with at the time. It didn't come out in 2017, 2016, so I was just without an electric car, but that's okay. Anyway, that generation of Nissan Leaf had a range of just that, 84 miles. It had a 24 kilowatt hour battery pack just like this. Took me everywhere. I never ran out of range. However, my goal for my project, and I want to share this with you and ask you a question. What do you think of a 100-mile range for an EV conversion? I think that is an admirable goal and very achievable these days. You don't need to get these 62 kilowatt hour packs and hope to go 300 miles. Your EV conversions most likely will be your project car, your hobby car, and maybe not your dailies, right? So you won't drive that much. I'm going to throw out some stats at you just because I can. So prior to COVID, the average American drove about 42, 44 miles a day. We know these numbers because we have mandatory auto insurance, so people have to report their mileages. Now cars have computers. You take them to get serviced at the dealership or your independent dealers, and you plug into the ODB2, Obi-Wan Kenobi as I call it. And so we can collect some actual data. And so that's what these numbers are based on, some insurance reporting, some service maintenance. And so prior to COVID, we're averaging about 40 miles. I know that a lot of you have pickup trucks and you live in the county and it takes you 2 hours to get to Piggly Wiggly. I get it, but you're not the average American, okay? So in the States, it was 40 miles a day. So 84 is twice that. Post-COVID, believe it or not, with the advent of the DoorDashes and you buying everything on Amazon, and in the States, our deodorants are now behind locked doors. And I'm not trying to get political here, just the climate, the environment has changed, and we purchase a lot more stuff online and it gets delivered to our doorsteps, gives us less reason to drive. And a lot of us stayed telecommuting, like if I'm in IT, so I just work from home now. So I really don't have the need to drive that much. So the average now has dropped to about 21 miles per day of driving for, again, the average American, not all of you all, right? And so 84 miles is 4 times that. So it's more than enough is what I'm trying to tell you. Although I am shooting for 100-mile range and 100-mile top speed just because chicks dig triple digits, right? Okay, so we got that out of the way. Okay, dudes, let's wrap this video up by talking about how this battery pack or combined battery packs are going to connect to the safety box. So BMW safety box, pronounced contactor box. Think of this like a electrical junction box for your car, like you have on the side of your house, your electrical junction box type of thing. Dumb analogy, I know, but just bear with me. So technically I would have 2 of these boxes, 1 per pack. I will present to you a couple different ideas of how I plan on connecting and turning on this pack and controlling this pack. I'm going to start off by trying to use just 1 safety box. But anyway, so this is just as the visual aid that this pack will connect to this safety box. And I have more orange cables for you here. So we have 2 positive. These are shorter. These are OEM. We're going with the natural connections here, the OEM connections. So off of 6 positive, we have the positive lead from number 6 to the battery module. I believe this is the other 6 here. So we will just pretend that this is plugged into that one. And those are my positive leads. And then these longer ones are from number 1 because this is on this side, right? So 1 negative is here. This is going to run through the safety box. Will it stay? And then the other one is on the other side, correct? So we're going to, again, natural connection, OEM connection from 1 to the safety box like so. We're going to have 4 leads coming off of it, 2 positive, 2 negative. We're going to have to connect 2 into 1 somehow. I'm going to address that in the next video or maybe the next 2 videos. I'm sort of planning ahead and thinking I will do another video of how we handle the negative lead to the contactor box, and the video after that how we combine the 2 positive leads into the safety box, because there is a bit of a difference and I don't want these videos to be longer than this one. Anyway, guys, thanks for sticking with me. I am, as they say these days, I'm not just excited, I am super excited to get this part of the phase done so I can drive the truck. I'm not a big fan of winter projects. It is January. It's cold in the garage. It's way below 70 degrees. It must be like 65 in here. I'm freezing my butt off doing these videos for y'all. Now I'm just rambling, but yes, I am super excited. I want to get this done. Thank you so much for following my videos and commenting. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching.